The dip is a tremendous exercise which is great for building up both relative and absolute strength in your push chain. However, the question is it necessary for your training goals? Well, that's what we're going to cover in this video. G'day everyone, and welcome back to PowerSetX Fitness, helping you build your body to both look and perform at its best. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the dip and determining if it is necessary for your training goals. Starting off with strength athletes, I think the dip is an amazing exercise for building up relative and absolute strength for the push chain. While it may not be as good for powerlifters or strongman as say the overhead press or the bench press, I still think that it is absolutely a great way for overall strength, and obviously it's a lot more athletic, and therefore I think it definitely is useful in that regard. When it comes to hypertrophy, if you look at calisthenics athletes, they usually have very well defined shoulders, chests, and triceps. And this is usually because of the dip. The dip is a staple in push days for calisthenics athletes, and therefore it has to be doing something right. For endurance-based athletes, if you're new to the dip, I do think that this may not be optimal since you won't be able to get as many reps since you're limited by your body weight. However, if you get to the point where you're doing 15 plus, I think that it can be an amazing exercise for endurance as it allows you to combat the lactic acid buildup and therefore get better for your endurance-based training. For power athletes, I definitely think the dip has its place. However, I think it definitely is better in terms of raw strength as opposed to the explosive nature that you would need for power-based movements. But the question is as well, what if you have an injury? What do you do from there? Well, I would recommend going for something a little bit easier on your shoulder joint. Maybe a dumbbell bench press or maybe a push-up. Something which is a little bit easier to scale based on the shoulder, and therefore we won't be having to put your entire body weight into your shoulder joint. Additionally, what do you do if you don't have access to a dip station? Well, similarly, I would recommend going for high rep push-ups as well as things like the dumbbell bench press. Push-ups can be done wherever and do not need much equipment at all. And while the dumbbell bench press is a little bit more equipment, it usually is a little bit more common than a dip station. Therefore, simple gyms will usually stock that sort of equipment. And finally, if you are at the point where you cannot do your full dip, what do you do instead? Well, first of all, you can build up to your first dip. There are various different exercises that can help to build up to this, such as the decline press, the close grip press, and push-ups, which will be able to help you to get to your first dip. And the dip is a very good exercise, and therefore I highly recommend building up the strength in order to get your first dip. So the question is the dip necessary? And I would have to say absolutely yes. In almost all the types of training I mentioned before, the dip can be an amazing aid in helping you to reach your goals. Obviously, if you're limited by injuries as well as equipment or not be able to do a dip, there are options you can do. However, you can do the dip. I highly recommend you prioritize that. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. And there we have it. If you found this video helpful, be sure to drop a like. If you've got any questions regarding anything you saw in this video, be sure to comment down below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. If you want to see more content like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button. And if you want your own program where I break everything down for you, be sure to check them out in the website, link in the description down below.